Hello, good evening and welcome to News 360 from the News Hub at Adisa Wikanda. I am Portia Gabo.
I am Isa Moni. The headlines for tonight is up in a moment.
News 360 Headlines is brought to you by...
And coming out, visually impaired Bafo Kufi Debra braves the odds to succeed in the face of adversity by preparing food for dozens of clients and patrons on a daily basis.
We'll also tell you the story of hearing impaired Anthony Ayite Ayikwe, who is into hairdressing.
And in continuing with our coverage of bad roads, about 10 farming communities in Bekwai municipality of the Ashanti region cut off owing to the deplorable condition of the main Bekwai-Konia road.
Coming up in international news, South Africa's Human Settlement Minister Lindiwe Zulu says she accepted nomination of some African National Congress branches to lead the ruling party.
We have all the details, including sports and entertainment, coming up. Stay with us.
We first begin with our campaign on bad roads, and let's go to the Ashanti region, where about 10 farming communities in the Bekwai municipality have virtually been cut off due to the deplorable condition of the main Bekwai-Konia road. The over 20-kilometer laterite road has been in bad shape for over a year, but recent rains have worsened the situation. A report by Benjamin Edu.
The Bekwai-Konia stretch is now a death trap as choked drains and weak bridge prevents free flow of water. Sections of the road have developed deep gullies, rendering it almost unmotorable. The huge volumes of rainfall have caused severe infrastructural and agricultural damage to farmers and traders. Affected communities include Aboase, Dotomu, Asokori, Jasikrom, Koniao and Subreso. The situation has adversely affected transportation of cocoa and other farm produce to marketing centers. Stranded residents have had to use an alternative road to Dompoase, which is a long route to Bekwai. The only means of transport is the use of an excavator bucket to move people from one end of the road to the other. A philanthropist who hails from the area gave out his excavator to make way for the free flow of water to ease the situation. The Bekwai Municipal Chief Executive, Che Bafo, commended the efforts of the philanthropist to aid the communities. He appealed to the Ministry of Road and Highways to help alleviate the plight of affected communities.
On roads there, Okaniase-Esukwakwa Road in the Krachi East district of the North region is in a state of disrepair. Robert Abilba reports the deplorable nature of the road compelled residents to carry their farm produce to the Esukwakwa market.
The Esukwakwa Okaniase Road also links Adomadum and Domabin, but can best be described as a death trap. It was constructed in the early 1970s, but the only time it attracted any attention was in the 1980s when a portion was tarred. Currently, it is in a bad state and is unmotorable. The culverts are severely damaged beyond repairs as a result of intense erosion and years of neglect. As a result, commercial drivers have declined to ply the route. Left with no option, the predominantly farmers have to trek with their produce to the Esukwakwa market. Residents say several appeals to the authorities have fallen on deaf ears. The community has now begun fixing the road through communal labor. The assemblyman of Okaniase electoral area is worried.
In 2012, they came to construct this bridge. We were happy thinking that the road will continue to the village where the community is, but it has become a white elephant. So we are appealing to the government to come to our aid. This is a farming community. You have cocoa, plantain, yam, many other food crops.
Matthew Kote is an opinion leader in the area.
We are appealing to the district assembly and then the government to come to our aid. And well, assembly, they said no money and so on. There is some difficulties. So yes, we are still on it, waiting for good time to come.
A farmer, Messi Zambibi, appealed for help to fix the road to enable farmers transport their produce to markets.
Due to the deplorable state of the road, pregnant women carry children at their back in addition to heavy loads to the market in order to sell and also get some items from the market. We are on our knees pleading for the reconstruction of our road.
But whilst the people of Okaniase are gnashing their teeth in agony, their counterparts in Nakrakra have a reason to celebrate because the bridge linking their community has been reconstructed.
And in Accra, residents of Lomnava are calling on governments to fix their roads and drainage system. The livid residents say the situation is hampering business activities and impeding access to their homes, especially when it rains. A report by Brenda Lutrot.
Lomnava is a community linking Taboro Alaji to areas like Soutum and Ofanko Barrier. The roads in Lomnava are in a deplorable state, hampering business activities in the area. The gutters in Lomnava are choked with sand and algae, causing flooding whenever it rains. The soil has also eroded, making it easier for homes to get flooded. Residents say the bad nature of the roads are affecting productivity.
It has become a very major problem that even the drivers cannot even come to this side whenever it's raining. So they have to drop the passengers at the station so that they can all walk to this side.
That's our worry next year. Every day code, every day code. So the AMA, the government, and then the assemblyman area here should come to our aid so that they can help us because we are suffering here.
According to residents, all efforts to get the assemblyman and district authorities to address the issue has been unsuccessful. Commercial drivers say the situation is hampering business activities.
Every time we buy spare parts because the roads are not good, yet we are taxed. We are pleading with the government to come to our aid.
The nature of our road causes us to feel body pains after a hard day's work. We are charged so much at our stations, and if it cannot cater for our road, then it's unfortunate.
According to Prosper Tribi, a motor rider, the dust poses a severe health hazard to their livelihood.
I always use this road every day. Mostly when it rains, you can pass here. It's very bad. Sometimes you see that the cars are struggling. The same time, we the motor riders. So we are pleading with them to come and work on the road for us.
It is the hope of residents that the Ministry of Roads and Highways will respond swiftly to their call.
And the National Disaster Management Organization has started dredging and distilling major gutters in the Kumasi metropolis. This forms part of measures to prevent any floods during heavy rains in the community.
Major gutters at Yenyanso, Abuabo and other suburbs of Kumasi have been turned into major dumping sites, mostly by individuals and mechanic shop owners. This usually results in flooding any time it rains in such communities. In order to prevent such situations, the National Disaster Management Organization on Thursday commenced a dredging exercise in the Kumasi metropolis.
We're going to collaborate with the Kumasi Metropolitan Assembly to bring in some harsh measures. If you are caught putting those things into the river, we will take you to court straight away. And we will make sure you rent an excavator to dredge large, long distance of gutters in the metropolis.
Despite the disaster, some people still live along the gutters. Assembly member for the Dechemsu electoral area, Kwabena Nsentre, admitted the assembly has not been able to carry out its functions effectively. He, however, says the assembly has started serving notice to some property owners living at such places to relocate. He says some residential facilities have already been demolished after owners failed to comply with the assembly's directive.
A lot of them doesn't have the building permit. If you have the building permit, then the assembly, you'll be captured into the assembly's book. We have given them a notice for almost 4 months ago that they should produce your permit, and none of them were able to produce a permit. So the next thing that we have to ask of them that they should take off the building, that place. If they refuse to take it or they couldn't take it, the assembly will demolish it.
The dredging is expected to continue and end in the next 3 weeks.
You're watching News 360, and now here's the story of a man who can feel food and taste good food as well. Unfortunately, he cannot see the food he prepares for dozens of clients and patrons on a daily basis. In the following report, my colleague here, Portia Gabon and Gifty Obeng, tell the touching story of Bafo Kofi Deborah, who is braving the odds to succeed in the face of adversity.
Let's call him Chef Extraordinaire. This is because his culinary skills are exceptional, having the ability to create perfect-looking meals while mixing ingredients with finesse, using his sense of touch, taste, smell and hearing, but not his sense of sight. Unfortunately, Bafo Kofi Deborah cannot see the perfect meals he creates every day, but he has people around who assist him in the food making process. He was not born blind. Prior to being a chef, he was the Ankopia Hene or the Num Asamankese traditional area and had his subjects taking orders from him. In a twist of fate, his life changed upon a trip to South Africa in June 2014.
In the dream I was working with a friend. And on the process, the friend told me that, Nana, look, someone is taking your eyes away. And in the dream, I said, who is taking it? He said, look at him, he's going. And I said, how can someone take my eye when once I can see? 7 months later, I got a shock that fateful day. I was walking in the street one day, all of a sudden, I'm off. That happened to me.
Hospital reports cited by TV3 showed that Nana has been diagnosed with end-of-stage glaucoma.
There is a day one chief died, they wanted to go, and I decided to go with them. In fact, that day I wept. I said I will go with them, but they came and said, you won't go with us, we can't go with you. We are going to, disorganize our way, things like that. I said, what is happening? I can do everything. They said, no. That day was the day I saw myself that nothing for me to do on my own.
So at a point, did you think of killing yourself?
Definitely, about 3 times.
Abandoning thoughts of suicide, he decided to flee his hometown and took refuge in a prayer camp where he met a woman who decided to help him. His story touched me and I decided to take care of him. From pastries to local and continental cuisine, you just name any dish you want and Bafo is ready to deliver. Patrons and neighbors attest to the fact that he is an exceptional cook. His food and pastries taste good.
Oh, Nana Jumana fine, Cassa. Me and Cassa, me too.
Many people patronize his services. He's a good chef.
Despite being visually impaired, Nana Deborah says he will not allow this to affect him in life. He's now a caterer and hopes to rebuild his life. Well, it's now time to taste Nana Deborah's pastry, and let's see how it tastes like. And it tastes really good.
Bafwa is a widower and has to make ends meet to support his children in Kumasi. He needs support to enable him expand his catering business.
So I need oven and I need kitchen utensils to run up a small restaurant so that I can lay on myself.
He has hopes of regaining his eyesight someday.
I don't even know time now. And I don't even know darkness. I don't even know morning. There's no fear in me. If I have God give me that chance to see now, I'll still know that God is God and nature too is beautiful.
Let's now focus on one person who has an hearing impairment with unique skills, and the typical salon visited most often is where clients walk in and have a conversation with their hairdresser about an intended hairstyle. But when one walks into the salon operated by Anthony Ayite Ayikwe, you might not get the chance to have a normal conversation. Wendy Lai spent a day with him as he has become a shining example of what hearing impaired persons can achieve with hard work and dedication.
I'm currently at IBE, a community in Accra, and I will be interacting with a hearing impaired beautician and hairdresser who is doing very well despite the odds. Good morning, Aisha. Thank you.
Work always begins with a prayer at the Heaven Sent Salon owned by Ayite. Some cleaning is done, perhaps to give credence to the saying cleanliness is next to godliness. Bernice is Ayite's first client for the day. She's here to wash and style. Bernice has been patronizing the services of Ayite for the past 15 years. While washing Bernice's hair, Ayite's second client was there helping himself out.
I would say it's the best. Anytime I come to a salon, it does everything that I want for me and do it well.
Desmond Kirk was there to braid his hair. He's been with Ayite for 2 years.
With him, through him, I learned the sign language. When he do some signs, I tell him, oh, I don't like this sign. I like 3 braid, bow left, and the other round 3 at the left side.
Zara has been a customer since 2010. She described him as fast and customer-friendly with a good sense of time.
I've been doing washing, relaxing of my hair. He never turns any customer away, no matter the time you get here, provided he's here.
According to the 48-year-old hairdresser, his impairments developed 7 months after his birth. His interest in hairdressing, he says, originated from his mom, who used to be a hairdresser. He took up apprenticeship at a friend's salon while a student of the Mampong School for the Deaf.
Anytime I come home on vacation, I go to her place. She had a shop at Kanda where I learned how to braid people's hair. For about 4 years later, I had a work and pay for about a year. After a year, I finished with my own shop and I moved since 1998.
Ayite has been a member of the Ghana Hairdressers and Beauticians Association since 2008. In a day, Ayite indicated he attends to between 15 and 20 clients. He admits first-timers are always amazed.
Immediately the person comes in, I welcome the person, I give the person a seat, he sits down, I give him the list I work on here, then he shows me this is exactly what I want to do, then I show him the associated price. If he accepts it, then I begin to work on that individual.
Ayite believes in empowering people, particularly persons living with disability. He's presently training 2 apprentices who are also hearing impaired. 4 hearing persons have also been trained under his tutelage. Though self-employed, Ayite's endeavor proves persons with disability can engage in decent work as envisaged under Goal 8 of the Sustainable Development Goals, SDGs. SDG Goal 10, Target 2 focuses on empowering and promoting the social, economic and political inclusion of all, irrespective of age, sex, disability, race, ethnicity, origin, religion, or economic or other status by 2030. Ayite and others like him do not only make a case for the potential of persons living with disability, but provide an impetus for the country to accelerate the pace of achieving SDG Goal 10.
A deaf child is as good as a hearing child. They should encourage them to go to school, and after school, if possible, learn a trade.
His apprentices were appreciative of Ayite's tutoring. Ayite also works as a makeup artist. He made Emilia Kwesing up for her marriage ceremony some years ago. But I could not have ended my story without a touch of Ayite's hands.
Ayite believes his hearing impairment is not an impediment to him being a successful hairdresser and beautician. He's of the view hearing impaired persons should develop themselves instead of begging for alms.
Wendy Lai, TV3.
Well, unfortunately, I don't have long hair, plenty of hair to get braided by.
He's multi-talented. Maybe he could be a barber as well.
I mean, Kofi Debra and Ayite Ikwe are telling us that no matter your circumstance, you can still do something for yourself in life. Yes, absolutely.
I was going to say persons living with disability have really shown that given skills and a push also, they can be whatever they want to be in future.
Absolutely. So you're watching News 360 and let's turn our attention to some other stories now. And now, commercial drivers who witnessed the robbery incident at La Paz on Thursday, July 13, say they all had to run into hiding for fear of being shot at by the robbers. In January 2016, a taxi driver helped to arrest armed robbers in cantonments here in Accra and was subsequently rewarded. In the following report, AC Binua Nyame asks, in the case of the La Paz robbery, where were the brave drivers?
For his bravery, he was given a new car by management of Kuala, a 2-bedroom house by government at the time, among others. Some have argued that the cantonment area where the first robbery happened was more of a less busy area, but the taxi driver single-handedly smashed the robbers with his taxi. So, one would have expected that for a busy place like La Paz, Las Palmas area, with lots of passengers and transport stations, there would have been another bravery to foil the Thursday, July 13 robbery incident. A video from the scene shows a helpless policeman running for his life and a lot of onlookers, yet the 2 robbers managed to snatch someone's vehicle and sped off. A driver, Adolf Asari, witnessed the incident.
My car was parking here where the incident also happened. When I saw the first policeman over here, another armed robber would just come back. They were coming back from the police. So they shoot the policeman at the back of it. Well, the policeman was wearing a bulletproof. So it didn't attach, the bullet didn't penetrate to the person. So he turned back when he saw them, there was armed robbers. So he just ran away. He slid the motor and then ran away. Later one day, another policeman also came. He came slowly with that. I thought he was trying to ask them a question. But what I saw is the armed robber just moved a gun and then started shooting the police.
But has he forgotten about the brave taxi driver so soon?
Actually, when we heard the gunshot, everybody was running away. So, and the traffic light also was on the right. So no one is coming. So here was very plain, no one is coming. So it's very difficult for somebody to come in.
Most people who witnessed the incident likened it to a movie scene. Meanwhile, the police administration has placed a 10,000 cedis reward for anyone who will assist the police arrest the two criminals.
And religious leaders say the spate of targeted killings of policemen is a sign that the country has lost its values. Chairman of the Christ Apostolic Church International, Apostle Dr. Stephen Kwame Ntoamweni, insists Ghanaians have become selfish and would use all means to achieve what they want. Meanwhile, Deputy Communication Minister Vincent Sowa-Odote wants Christians to pray for God's favor on the country.
Even though Ghana considered itself as a religious country with about 71% of the population being Christians, the country is prone to all manner of ungodly behaviors, including unwarranted killings. Just this month alone, 3 police personnel have been killed in cold blood by unidentified persons, some in the full glare of the public. The Inspector General of Police, David Asantia-Pietu, on Friday deployed the development and called for public vigilance. Addressing the Christ Apostolic Church International Centenary Thanksgiving organized by the Accra South Territory in Accra, Chairman of the church, Apostle Dr. Stephen Kwame Ntoamweni, says the happenings are signs of bad omen.
Self-interest is playing a major role here now. Everyone just wants to have something for his own. And for that matter, we didn't actually exhibit love, honesty, faithfulness, loyalty to our country, Ghana. And this is where, to me, we're having a problem as Christians.
Deputy Communication Minister and Member of Parliament for La Dadekotopon, Vincent Sowa-Odote, admitted the country is going through challenges and called on Ghanaians to save it through prayers.
The moral upbringing of our leaders is crucial, because at the moment we are faced with a lot of social vices, corruption, adultery, how people, even who claim to go to church, are not very honest. So it's important that the church partner with the state to develop the spiritual aspect so that people will be God-fearing, people will know. You don't just pursue academic excellence, but you pursue a moral upbringing.
Vincent Sowa-Odote also called for God's favor to lead the political leadership on a righteous way.
And the State Shelter for Abused Children seeks public support in tracing the relatives of some 14 children who have been in their custody since January this year. One of the victims, 17-year-old boy, was reportedly trafficked to Nigeria in 2014.
The first child, 9-year-old Millicent Obenewa, was brought to the shelter on January 3 this year, but efforts at tracing her relatives have proved futile. 10-year-old Fatima Sadiq reported at the shelter on June 22, whilst Edith Klu, 8 years, reported on May 4. 12-year-old Mauto, on the other hand, reported on April 24, 8-year-old Selom on July 4, and Emmanuel, also 8 years, reported on June 23. Others are 14-year-old Frank Osu, who was brought to the shelter on May 31, 10-year-old Joseph Iwa on February 1, and Precious Joel Anderson, 13, who came to the shelter on July 4. The rest are 14-year-old Kofi Sapon, who was also brought to the shelter on July 4. Solomon Boko Mensah, also 14, who was sent to the shelter on May 10, and 11-year-old Samuel Opong, who reported on June 27. Also at the shelter currently is 10-year-old Solomon Aholu, who was brought to the shelter on July 7, and the 17-year-old Meldrin Krepel, who claimed to have been trafficked to Nigeria in 2014. In a related development, management of the La General Hospital requires public support in tracing the relatives of 65-year-old Albert Bannerman, who was rushed to the facility in the last week of June by a Good Samaritan. Albert Bannerman claimed he hails from Osu, but efforts by hospital authorities to trace his home proved futile. Anyone with information on any of these cases should please contact the Osu shelter or the La General Hospital to assist.
8-year-old Abu Sharifa needs 19,000 cedis to undergo surgery at the Kolebu Teaching Hospital in Accra. She has a brain tumor.
Abu Sharifa, who lives with her parents in Asante, Abuakwa in the Ashanti region, has a brain tumor which was detected in the last 6 months. Her mother recounted Sharifa after returning from school one day complained about intense pain in her body, claiming that was the beginning of her sickness. The condition deteriorated, resulting in her inability to walk. Sharifa can neither speak nor see clearly. She cannot swallow food, compelling relatives to feed her through the nose. Her parents have spent all they have on her and now wants public support. Abu Sharifa needs 19,000 cedis to enable doctors at the Kolebu Teaching Hospital operate on her. People touched by her condition should kindly send their donations to TV3 Social Support Fund account 6010603927 at any Zenith Bank branch, or send their donations to the premises of TV3.
Now let's look at a related story. 13-year-old Edmond Brony has been diagnosed with hole in heart and requires an amount of $10,000 to cover surgery costs in India.
Edmond was a normal child until his parents discovered there was something wrong with him. At 12 years, Edmond is unable to do things children of his age will do. He looks frail and gets tired easily. According to his mother, she discovered the condition after birth, and since then, efforts have been made to get treatment with no success. His reaction to a noisy environment scares the family as he sometimes passes out. He had to quit school at class 5 because of the condition.
It is difficult for him to do anything by himself, so we are pleading for your support.
Doctors at the Kolebu Teaching Hospital finally diagnosed him with a hole in heart condition. The cost in undertaking the surgery outside Ghana is a concern to the family. They need public support to enable them foot the medical bills outside Ghana. The general public is encouraged to contribute to save Edmond through TV3 Social Support Fund, account number 601-060-3927 at any Zenith Bank branch. You can also donate at the TV3 premises at Kanda in Accra. You're watching News 360, and let's not forget about Sharifa as well as Edmond. And you can bring your contributions also to TV3. Remember, no contribution is too small.
You're on News 360, and still to come tonight.
Kumasi Zoological Garden in the Ashanti region is losing its revenue value due to its appalling state.
South Africa's Human Settlements Minister, Lindiwe Sisulu, says she accepted nomination of some African National Congress branches to lead the ruling party.
Details coming up shortly. Do stay with us.
Hello again, let's do some more stories. And the Kumasi Zoological Garden in the Ashanti region is losing its revenue value due to its appalling state. The zoo, situated on 1.5 kilometer square area, is located between the Kumasi Keitia bus terminal and the old Kumasi Racecourse Market. There are calls for private sector involvement to revamp the facility. A report by Benjamin Edu.
Previously, the Kumasi Zoo was identified among the most beautiful tourist centers in the Ashanti region due to its attractive state at the time. It used to record high patronage, with about thousands of tourists visiting the garden per week. During the period, different types of animals were colorfully housed, and the garden had attractive lawns and roads to delight patrons. But the system has changed because of lack of maintenance in some parts of the zoo, so tourists no longer find the garden attractive. Walkways are difficult to access whenever it rains, affecting the smooth tour of the facility. Apart from the poor road network, cages housing the animals are in deplorable conditions. During a visit to the zoo, Chief Executive Officer of the Forestry Commission, Kojo Owusu-Afriye, decried the deteriorated infrastructure. He called for private sector support to revamp the zoo.
We are going to go back and then to see how best we could put some resources in, and or how best we can also ask the private sector to come and support us. The amount of money that goes into feeding some of the animals is huge. So we also need help and support from the private sector.
Kojo Owusu-Afriye disagreed with suggestions for the zoo to be relocated.
I cannot see how anybody would suggest in his wildest dreams that I should go elsewhere apart from here. It is a good place, and the trees that I find is interesting. There are places where people can come and rest.
The zoo manager, Mejiri Ijirele Zike, touched on the challenges facing them.
Currently, we have about 6 drains that come into the zoo to join the Subin River. And these drains come in with a lot of water, especially during this rainy season. And we are calling on the city authorities and government for that matter to help us to see how we can solve this problem of the drains that flow into the zoo and cause flooding sometimes. We have parts of our walls that are collapsed.
And the Kumasi Metropolitan Assembly is collaborating with Friends of Rivers and Water Bodies to embark on a tree planting project in the city. The project is aimed at greening the Kumasi metropolis. A report by Benjamin Edu. The Kumasi Metropolitan Assembly, in partnership with Friends of Rivers and Water Bodies, hope to plant over 1 million trees by the end of this year. The trees are to be planted along driveways, ceremonial routes, open spaces and school compounds. The project has taken off with plantations along Atasamanso, Praku Estates and other residential areas in Kumasi. About 1,500 trees have been planted so far in the ongoing exercise. The chief of Atasamanso, Nana Wusu Brema III, was enthused about the project.
We should attach much importance to tree planting and encourage others to do same.
President of Friends of Rivers and Water Bodies, Nana Jumo Sapon, expressed worry at the destruction of water bodies and the absence of trees on the streets of Kumasi.
It is said that by the year 2050, the metropolitan population will be 50% of the whole country. And if that happens, we will face a lot of challenges. So if you see that 50% of the place the trees have been removed and only houses, it's going to create a lot of environmental hazard. That is why there's a need for community forests.
The mayor of Kumasi, Osei Entry, appealed to landlords who wish to plant trees in front of their houses to contact the assembly.
To the owners of these houses, this tree belongs to them. So they should keep it, they should maintain it, and they should help us. And it's going to help them also and help beautify the city.
The Member of Parliament for Nshaeso, Kennedy Kankam, spoke about the importance of tree planting.
Human being comes out with the carbon dioxide, and it takes in oxygen. If you look at the plant as well, plant also give out oxygen and take up carbon dioxide. So plants and human beings, when it comes to the respiratory system, they all have a mutual relationship.
Now let's talk about education and how some children are struggling to grasp words of teachers during lessons at Jambuai in the Kwandai district of the northern region. According to them, practicing combined classroom system is a lot of interference and distraction.
Children here have passion for education. Teachers are also impacting positively on the children's passion. But aspiring to secure a brighter future through education is repressive. The environment, coupled with lack of logistics, teaching and learning materials, puts children under stress. Only 3 classrooms serve primary 1 to 6. Multi-grade system is the option, and teachers are complaining about distraction and lack of concentration on the part of the pupils. In the absence of furniture, mats and wooden slabs are used. Meanwhile, a 6-unit classroom block near completion has stalled. The Get Fund project started in 2011. The District Director of Education, Festus Daniel Adikwo, assumed office in 2015 and in a telephone interview said he was yet to fetch the contractor working on the project. Festus Adikwo says he is constantly in talks with the regional directorate to complete the building. This shack provides shade for some of the junior high school pupils. The director again says his hands are tied and it appears cladding the shed is the only option. Chief of the area is worried about the overall development of the area.
In terms of communication, road network, even health, education, when you enter the classrooms, a lot of dust, you cannot even do anything. The teachers too, before they come out, you see that their uniform, this is dirty.
The chief called for urgent government attention.
Still in the Volta region, 51-year-old pharmacist Roland Kofi Adiko has been installed the paramount chief of Tanyigbe traditional area in the whole municipality under the store name Tobiga Kodi Adiko VI. He pledged to unite the community of Tanyigbe to promote development.
In August 2015, the then paramount chief of Tanyigbe, Togbe Kwesi Adiko V, embarked on a royal journey to join his ancestors. Togbiga Kodi Adiko VI succeeds his late father Togbe Kwesi Adiko, who ruled for 64 years. Speaking after the final rite of his installment, Togbiga Kodi Adiko VI assured the communities under the traditional area of his commitment to serve. The ceremony attracted residents from Anyigbe, Etoe, Atija, Jaffa, and adjoining communities. The ceremony also brought followers of various religious beliefs from the traditional area together.
You're watching News 360, and we take a short break, and after that, we'll talk about sports and maybe a day for King February 8 with Thierry Nyan.
All right, so it's time to bring you all the latest in the world of sports with me, Thierry Nyan. Now, we start off today with some tennis news. Roger Federer became the first man to win Wimbledon 8 times and extended his record to 16 Grand Slam titles with victory over Croatia's Marin Cilic. The Swiss third seed won 6-3, 6-1, 6-4. As seventh seed, Cilic struggled with blisters on his left toe and broke down in tears during the second set. Federer becomes the oldest man in the Open era to win the Wimbledon title. Federer surpasses Pete Sampras and William Renshaw, who won the 7th titles in the year 2000 and 1989, respectively, with only Marina Navratilova still ahead in terms of Wimbledon singles titles on 9. He won 2 of the 3 Grand Slam titles so far this year, having returned from a 6-month break to win the Australian Open in January. With 19 major titles, he extends his lead over Rafa Nadal in the men's game to 4 and now stands joint 4th on the all-time list with Helen Willis-Moody, 5 behind Margaret Court on 24. All right, so away from that, let's go straight to some other news, and that will be the Ghana Premier League. Matchday 23 and some very, very crucial results in there. Several goals scored and lots of wins. 6 wins, were recorded today. If you added Saturday's games, then it means you're going to be having 7 wins out of a possible 7. Ahmed Toure started the weekend with a hat-trick over Bolga All-Stars that ultimately meant that he was going to be the top scorer after match day 23 ahead of Nicholas Jan, who had been leading for such a long time. But today, we had several of these games being played. While All-Stars beat Liberty Professionals by 2-1, which means that while All-Stars are really continuing their decent form after the second round, and remember, after they sacked Inos Adepa, things have been turning out quite good for the Wabe side. Liberty Professionals unable to win another away game. Brecum Chelsea beat Wafa, and this means Wafa now have been joined at the top of the table with the Aduana Stars. I'll get to the Doma Bay side pretty shortly. But, Brecum Chelsea's 2-1 win over Wafa also means that Wafa now have lost all of their last 5 away games in the Ghana Premier League. We thought they had turned the table on the road, but it's not exactly the case. Ashanti Gold also lost to Elmina Sharks. It was the first defeat for CK Akono's side in the last 8 games, winning 7 of them and drawing 1. But 6 consecutive wins has been put to a stop in the Ghana Premier League. Aduana Stars, like I was telling you earlier, now are joined with Wafa at the top of the table with a 2-0 result over Elmina Sharks. And then Great Olympics were at home at the Accra Sports Stadium, and they were beaten actually by Mediama Sporting Club by 3-0. Tema Youth also played against Inter Allies in a game that ultimately meant that the Harbour Boys were going to be thrashing their city rivals, by 3-1. But this is exactly how the table looks like. Wafa first with 43 points. Aduana Stars had the same number of points, a bit, less on goal difference. Hearts of Oak remain third. Asante Kotoko are fourth, despite those, 2 teams and their game being postponed indefinitely because of Kotoko's accident. Mediama, Bichim, Inter Allies, and Ebusua Dwarves follow in that particular order. For the bottom half, you can see quite a number of changes. Unlike the top half, you see the likes of Wild All Stars still leading. Brecum Chelsea are 10th. Elmina Sharks are also in there. Tema Youth and Ashanti Gold really have come out of the relegation zone, sinking the likes of Liberty Professionals. Great Olympics are also in there. Wild All Stars, sure bets for relegation, isn't it? Looking at how they are playing this season. Away from this, let's go straight to Europe. And maybe Jordan Ayew is giving signals. Last season was only a stepping stone. The foot is off the step anyway this summer, and he has begun scoring. Jordan scored for Swansea City in their 2-2 draw with Philadelphia Union on their US tour. The Ghana international gave the Welsh club a half-time lead against the MLS side. He scored only 1 goal last season and is looking to produce some of the best performances for Swansea next campaign. Swansea's next game in the US sees them take on Richmond Kickers on Tuesday night. We remain in England, where Manchester United manager Jose Mourinho has ruled out signing Cristiano Ronaldo back from Real Madrid. There were reports in June that Ronaldo was left upset after being accused of tax fraud and wants to leave Spain. A move back to United, whom he left for a debt record of £80 million in 2009, has been mentioned as a possibility. However, when asked about the likelihood of the move, Mourinho said it cannot happen due to the economic difficulty of doing the deal. Mourinho was asked about signing Portugal captain Ronaldo after his side had beaten LA Galaxy by 5-2 in the first match of their preseason tour in the US on Sunday. All right, so now 4 cities and 3 countries over the last 4 days. What am I talking about? Floyd Mayweather and Conor McGregor traded verbal jabs from one city to the next. Now it is time to cringe. Mayweather-McGregor quickly has turned into some kind of bad show act resulting to gutter language to promote a bout that everyone already knows about. It is billed as a boxing match, but that is not exactly what we've witnessed in the last few days. Take a listen to this.
What's up, Los Angeles? Let's get this World Tour started. I don't give a if it's a ring. I don't give a if it's an octagon. Put me in there and I'm going to kick. He's in a tracksuit. He will be unconscious inside 4 rounds. Sit quiet, you little. God only made one thing perfect, and that's my boxing record.
My name is Drake. I love each and every one of you.
Let's get into this. Started from the bottom, now I'm here. Dance with me, boy. If you believe in yourself, like you say you believe in yourself, bitch your whole fight, Jackie. New York, New York. What a city. I don't just smell victory. You know what I smell? I smell them. This is Jay-Z's new album. I want you to take this and listen to it and learn. Learn how to build a real empire. They said if you quit once, you'll quit twice. But 3 times? Oh, man. This is my first time in a boxing ring. I am boxing. I'm undefeated, 21-year run. And this all y'all got to offer? Microwave meal. That's what you are. With that cheap watch on. Step your game up. 1.4 million. Mate, you're 40. Get that phone out of your hand like a kid. I ain't gonna touch you, don't worry. I ain't gonna touch you till August 26th. The bullshit is now over. 6 weeks, I'm gonna sleep this fool. And when I sleep him, I'm gonna bounce his head off the canvas as well.
Boxing, always very interesting before the bout. Sometimes the bouts themselves really are boring, but maybe this is been billed as one of the most exciting, predictably, in history. Anyway, that's all for sports with me, Thierry Nyan, right here on News 360. I'm out. Thanks for watching.
Let's now go to South Africa and Poland for some international news.
South Africa's Human Settlements Minister, Lindiwe Sisulu, says she accepted the nomination of some African National Congress ANC branches to lead the ruling party. Sisulu is a veteran cabinet minister and a member of a family that, along with the Mandelas, were among the most prominent in the struggle against apartheid. Lindiwe Sisulu joins a crowded race to succeed scandal-plagued President Jacob Zuma as ANC leader in December. President Jacob Zuma's government has been dogged by allegations of corruption and influence peddling. Media reports about a trove of leaked emails has heaped pressure on him to allow a judicial commission to investigate graft claims. With campaigning yet to start, President Jacob Zuma has openly backed former African Union President Nkosazana Dlamini Zuma, to whom he has once been married, while COSATU and the SACP have voiced support for Deputy President Cyril Ramaphosa.
Hectic as it was, day 2 of the TV3 Ghana Most Beautiful auditions in Accra was interesting as judges had a tedious task of pruning down the number of contestants who turned up at the premises of TV3.
From the first time that I set my eyes on you, baby, I was stuck on you. I'm on me a cut for you, make my call for you, all for you. Went back inside my dream to search for you.
The atmosphere was tensed, hearts beating with a non-stop twist and turn as the young ladies waited in long queues. Waiting 2 days to get the pass to go into the next stage of Ghana's Most Beautiful auditions, judges drilled them from social to international issues. For some of the ladies, this was their reaction after moving on to the next stage.
It was drilling, and so all along our hearts were pumping, but I saw what I wanted from the judges and it was better.
I was kind of nervous. It wasn't easy at all, but when I got there, I think I met the expectation. Being able to stand before them, I think I've gained some level of confidence, so it was very good.
For today's judges, I think they gave me their best and I'm okay with them.
And I'm sure in the coming weeks you see more beautiful Ghanaians on Ghana's Most Beautiful on TV3. And that's all time we'll have for this edition of News 360. My name is Lisa Morning.
And I am Portia Gabo. Coming up is Bridges of Love.